Welcome to the Clean Power Hour Live, bringing you the latest in wind, solar, and battery storage news. I'm Tim Montague. Check out all of our content at cleanpowerhour.com. Give us a rating and review. Check out my new book. Go to the book link on cleanpowerhour.com. And welcome to the show, John Weaver, commercial solar guy, and my co-host. Welcome.
Commercial shoulder guy.
Yeah,
Yes,
shoulder.
yes.
Today it's shoulder.
Shoulder.
I have trouble talking.
Big words, big words. You say it probably 1,000 times a day. It's probably stressful to say it too many more times. Nice to see you, Tim. Glad to talk with you again. Sorry I missed you on Friday. Had a company event, so we got together. One of our sales guys visited Boston, and the team took a summer Friday is the term I hear, and we socialized and hung out. So
That's
we're bringing
awesome.
you some news this week. Yes.
That is awesome. It's important to take time out and take care of one another. The industry runs on people. Sometimes we forget this. It's not just about deploying technology. It's actually people that matter most. And we're trying to create a safer, healthier future for humanity. If anyone asks you why we want to do the energy transition, like why on earth should we do this? It's about the future of humanity, really. The earth is going to be fine. Totally fine with or without us. It's a question of will we survive and under what condition?
That's going to be a question.
That's the
Gonna be a
main
question.
motivation for why I get up in the morning and go to work, is trying to create a safer future for humanity. So let's get into the news.
Sure.
There's good news, there's bad news, there's weird news, of course. In 2025, there's lots of weird news, but you found a story. Trump's law to cut U.S. clean energy installs 41%. I would put this in the bad news category, but that's life in 2025, right, John?
Yes, and this is a complex story, like everything we're dealing with these days. Note it says clean energy installs, so this is a lot of things, and but there's also a shorter term window that's still good for us as people who are working day to day. So first off, at the highest level, Bloomberg is looking at where they think the solar industry will go. But notice this says right here, we'll plunge 41% after 2027. So we're still in 25, Tim. We still got some work to do for a couple years. And here's the chart. And this is clean energy. And before we finish, I'm going to talk about solar because, Tim, that's what you and I do. But this is everything. So in 25, we're expecting 72 gigawatts AC of clean energy capacity to be deployed. That's going to be energy storage. That's going to be wind and solar. In 26, we're expecting 85 gigawatts. 27, 81. This is all coming from Bloomberg. So these are numbers still going up over the next couple of years.
Yeah, because
Now,
the ITC doesn't go off the cliff until the end of 27 for commercial, right?
Correct. And I don't know if you remember, but 2016, we had a massive run up because the ITC was going to end. And so what's going to happen over these next 3 years, 2.5 years from today? Maybe something of that nature. So that's kind of positive-ish. And so that's it. So that's what we're working on. Now, Tim, I don't want to jump to the document, but would you do me a favor and read what I have from Jenny Chase that's actually on the document that you can see for this article? How much DC capacity of solar she suggests on the document that I pasted there right above the link so that we can compare it to this chart.
Trump's
I can
law
jump
to
over.
cut U.S. clean energy installs 41%. BNEF says U.S. solar forecasts megawatt DC totals 2025, 26, 27. Base case FEOC basically impossible to meet. 53.1 gigawatts, 61.1, 59.8, 32.3. I don't quite understand, but.
All right, so let's go over it. So first, 53, 62, and then back to 50. So this I'm going to say is really positive. We're expecting an expansion of solar 53, 62, and back to 50 for the next 3 years if FEOC, foreign entity of concern, is a big challenge. If it turns out that the Trump administration is going to attack everything that has any association with China, and we have to really mess up our supply chains, those are the numbers that BNF, Bloomberg New Energy Finance, BNF is expecting. 53, 60, backed it into the 50s. Now, with FEOC, and so read the rest of it, with FEOC being manageable, what kind of capacities does she project? That's the second half of that little column, of that row.
53, 61, 50, 60, and 32.
And that's with the FEOC manageable, or is that the first one? Let's see.
Well,
so then so it's similar-ish. So a little bit, maybe that's just the FEOC number. So what this is that in the next 2.5 years, we're going to deploy a lot of solar. We're going to set a record, maybe this year, with 53 gigs, because last year we were like 49.9. And then next year, we're going to set another record, maybe over 60 gigs. And then we're going to have another 50 gig plus year in 27. And that's if the FEOC stuff is really hard. It might ease a little. We might have a little bit cheaper hardware. We might get a little more installed. But what the negative and the positive here is that for the next 2.5 years, we all got a lot of work to do. And we need to pound and get through things as fast as we can. And then what the heck's going to happen in 28? I don't know. Maybe we're going to have, it says 32 gigawatts of solar. That's still a big number. I mean, 32 gigs is a great number, but it's going to be less dispersed. It's going to be heavy in the commercial space. And 28, 29, 30, that's when we're going to start seeing problems in the industry. Size, capacity, maybe people getting fired. And so that's, we got to push hard. Next 2 years, we're already seeing people getting fired, Tim. I mean,
yes, we are already seeing layoffs, just to be honest, right? The layoffs are happening, and companies have to be conservative about the forecast. It's hard to know what the true impact of FEOC is going to be, and at its core, the problem with FEOC is that China is one of these foreign entities. They're the main maker of, for example, battery cells. Are battery cells on the FEOC list?
Oh,
I think
they are. It's IP. It's not even cells. I don't even think they talk about hardware. They talk about IP. So the cell can be made in Ohio, but if it's Chinese IP, then there's a challenge. So even Tesla, who is the biggest of us in the U.S. making batteries, they get cells from CATL, and for their energy storage, for their grid stuff. So we're gonna have to see. I mean, they do have a new LFP factory coming online in Nevada, so that's gonna help. Yeah. But we got to look at IP, and it's not zero for FEOC for IP. It's a percentage, but it's a percentage that's going to get harder and harder as the years go on.
Yeah. All right. So
we got some volume coming. We got to get to work.
This is why we call it the solar coaster. We get these bumps and dips, and we're getting a bump. So ride the wave, energy professionals, and just know that as soon as we get a new administration, things will change, and the landscape will change, and the energy transition is full steam ahead globally. So you can have a bright future in clean energy. There's just going to be turmoil. Resi is going to have a harder cliff sooner, and then commercial, and good companies will survive. You gotta have a good strategy, John. The thing that, the take home for me so far is lean into batteries and lean into diversification of electrification, meaning HVAC, or even an allied trade like roofing, and electrification of transportation, car chargers. I don't know if you have you boiled it down for people how to survive the downturn?
No. I think number one, in the residential space, I mean, I know how I'm going to survive it for residential. Uh, my residential company is going to be supported by a commercial company. I mean, that's really what it's going to come to for us because we're not a great residential company. We build well, but we're not a big firm. We don't have all the resources. We don't have a sales team. We just have inbound leads. And so my company is going to have to be supported by a previously existing commercial team. So that's what's going to make my resi company work. My commercial company is going to work because we're going to keep doing solar in Mass and Rhode Island, which are very expensive markets for electricity and have state incentives. And then we're going to add, and this is something I'm slowly working through right now, a construction arm specifically focused on energy storage. And that's, we're going to keep building. And that's how we're going to figure it out. We have to get tighter in costs. Those residential costs, they have to come down. And one way that we're going to do it is just, we're going to be a low volume resi shop. So we're not going to represent the real market, but people are just going to have to tighten costs. I mean, that's just going to be reality. I don't know any other way to do it.
People will still install solar at the residential level, and it'll be smaller volume. So there will be a market contraction. So if you're a good company doing good work, you'll be fine. If you're a solar bro selling super expensive solar, goodbye. And that's okay. All right, let's get into the project of the week. You found a very beautiful 875 kW carport superstructure. That is one badass carport.
Yeah, that's how I reacted. I was like, oh my gosh, look at all that cool stuff on it. I mean, look at the walls. It's enclosed. So it's coming from Dallas, Fort Worth area. A gentleman on Blue Sky. We were talking about carports, and he posted their carport. The company is CLS Sustainable. And some of the details, it's fully walled, and it has a drop-down facade. On the inside, it's lit like standard as any carport would need to be with lighting, but it's also bifacial modules, so it's very naturally lit as well. And it's on top of a parking lot. And it's just a beautiful square. I mean, cleaning it should be, it's probably going to be required because looks like it's a zero slope, but I assume you could just put a robot on there and let that thing just kind of go back and forth on its own. But I don't know. And it's downtown, so of course it'll get dirty, but it just looks so cool when the guy shared it with me. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty clean, I have to say. Yeah. And I'd like to know what the installed cost per watt was. Just curious, but shade is of a premium. We're going to do a lot of carports eventually. Carport solar alone could completely green the grid. Like, that's how many parking lots we have in America. So there's more than 10,000. I think the figure, it's in my book. There's 13,000 square miles of carports in the United States. It's a huge number. Much. Yeah.
I remember there's like 2 billion parking spots, but I don't know how many of those are like fully facing the sun versus inside of a carport or in a house or something. But people always say parking spots.
Most of them are exposed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like 30% of LA, of the geography of LA, is parking. It's a huge percentage. So you can imagine a lot of that converted to battery containers and solar panels, and it's a good thing. And it's good for the grid. It's good for consumers because it brings prices down. That's one of the bummers I think about the BBB, John, is everybody in America is going to see spikes in the cost of energy at a time when we already have inflation and, our paychecks aren't going up. So it's a tough time. And you and I know that LCOE of solar and battery is lower than the do nothing strategy. So that's what we should do.
I get mad when you tell me 30% of LA is parking and people whine that we might want 1% to power the whole nation. I just want to punch things, and sometimes people, Tim. Not a good thing.
All
Back
right.
to the show, Tim. Back to the show.
Back to the show. Global grid scale BESS supports deployments increased over 50% in H1 2025, reaching 87.6 gigawatt hours.
Yeah.
14 gigascale projects have entered operation so far this year. All right, that's a good story.
Yes.
Let me get this on screen.
I like that. Batteries are growing, man. Batteries are the new solar, Tim. We gotta be on the ball. We gotta be pushing it. We gotta understand it and know it better. The report that they give, you can sign up for. They don't let us get into it, but we get to see some cool data here. China's starting to deploy massive batteries. California is. We may, if we get a chance, talk about how batteries are affecting curtailment, which is a weird word for most people in California. But battery growth for me is the story of the year. Is the story of last year was battery price falling, and it's still falling this year. So this right here, this is going to be the growth story, the growth engine. And this, Tim, you want to keep your business alive? Learn some batteries. That's it.
Yeah.
You want to get rid of net metering? Learn some batteries. Want to get rid
Absolutely.
of demand charge? Learn some batteries. You know what? That's what we're going to try and do. We got to stay alive.
Yep. I completely agree. Batteries are so three-dimensional compared to solar. We love solar because they collect photons. Solar panels collect photons. Photons are free. But batteries allow you to store those electrons and then deploy them on demand 24/7. And that is super valuable. That's something a solar panel cannot do, never will do. And that's fine. That's why we have batteries. We just need to build a lot of batteries. And that's a problem when we're not really incentivizing factory construction in America. So a lot of the factories are still getting built in Asia. And that's a conundrum that we haven't quite solved, but lean into batteries for sure.
So I just, this is Benchmark. We should get this guy on the show again one day. He's busy. He's all around. They started covering copper recently.
Yep.
But they stopped putting out that cool chart which showed battery announcements because I guess it got above 10 terawatt hours of factories. And they're just like, oh my gosh, there's so many factories to track. But it's growing. This is what we're talking about. And what's neat, I like the little chart at the bottom. We can see how much of the batteries are just connecting straight to the grid versus how much are connecting to solar plants and direct to wind plants. And I think this straight to the grid thing is pretty cool. What's the term? Wireless transmission. So what they mean by that is instead of upgrading the power grid to add new wires, if you strategically add batteries at a certain spot, they can move the electricity during non-traffic jam times, so to say, because the power grid gets a traffic jam just like the highway. And so if we move electricity in off times, we can get it to the batteries and it can hang out there. And then when it's needed, then it can shoot out. So like downtown LA, you want some of those parking spots that have batteries so that at 5 p.m. when all that solar in the desert is starting to slow down and trying to get electricity downtown, you got the batteries. And they're just literally putting batteries in wherever, so it's just neat. I think the grid is going to get smarter, quicker. I don't know, all kinds of things with batteries on it. So this is cool. You're going to hear me constantly talking about big batteries too. You already kind of do.
I love batteries. It's not easy. I don't think it's easy. I don't want to trivialize, for the average solar professional to understand the value stack. If you're still on the sidelines, it boils down in a simple way, though: earn, save, protect, which I talked about last time we did the show. Earn, save, protect. Check out Intelligent Generation, and they flesh this out for you. And there are very few technologies that have the stack that batteries have, and that's why they're being deployed en masse. And if you're a grid operator, they're just great news, right? They're so flexible, and as prices have come down and will continue to come down, right? The more we build, the less the price will be, and that's a virtuous cycle. All right, what's our next story?
New York
New York?
State.
Oh, I love this story. So, you know, I I love to tout that I live in a top 10 solar market, but I'm barely in top 10 solar market in Illinois, John. Um, New York is a top 5 solar market, and they've achieved this by setting ambitious targets. And now they've just released a plan to target 35 gigawatts of PV and 9.4 gigawatts of battery storage by 2040. I also love this photo. I don't know if this is even real. This photo showing rooftop units on a green roof, but the rooftop units have cooling solar cooling shades over them, which is fascinating. Super
That
cool.
can't be real. Whatever that is, that can't be real, especially not near New York City. I don't know what that is.
The
Image.
thing that makes me think it's real, John, is that you actually have these little openings in the solar panels for
It's
some
true.
access, and a normal AI generated photo would not have included those, and they're uniform across the rooftop. But I don't know. Um, so, but yeah, New York is a leader. If you live and work in New York, you know this. It's like Hawaii, California, Texas, New York. Um, and New York has NYSERDA, which is a powerhouse, and they are doing very ambitious things, which starts with these goals, right? If you don't set a goal, it's not likely that you're going to green your grid. Here in Illinois, our goal is 25% by 2025. And so this draft plans to target 14 gigawatts of solar installed by 2030. And that's a lot of solar. Like we're going to do 10 gigawatts in 10 years, I think is the plan in Illinois. Um, so this is just,
So,
yeah, it's ambitious. It's good and it's ambitious.
and it's So first off, I'm looking at a chart right now, just to kind of give you a little more credit, though. But so New York is not a top 5 in terms of generation. They only get 6.25% of their electricity from solar as of the last month. Puts them around 15 to 20. Illinois is only a few states behind them at 3%.
Yeah.
But New York is trying very hard. They are pushing energy storage. They are pushing. They are maybe the nation's leader community solar market, and they are, working really hard. In fact, their utility scale is equal to their distributed solar generation. So they are doing well. They do have some challenges in that they have probably 5 gigawatts of capacity they've awarded starting in 2017-18 in what they call their large array program that have ever so slowly rolled out. It's just hard for these projects. And then the COVID inflation hit and our current inflation that's hitting. Those two things have also slowed these projects. So they're pushing hard. They're pushing batteries. In fact, I just saw their bulk storage battery program is going into the next round. They're looking for RFPs. So this 35 gigs of solar and 9 gigawatts of batteries, it's going to probably even be bigger because it keeps growing. But the state's also now considering a little bit of nuclear to plug a system in, a gigawatt of nukes, which would be great. It's a very far north state. But in the northern half of the state, they have a lot of hydroelectricity. However, most of that's Canadian. A bunch of it's from Niagara Falls, though. So it's a complex state with a lot going on. And it's a big state. It's New York State. There's 24-ish million people in the state.
Yeah.
So then they have this massive, wide open upstate area and this ultra dense city area. So it's a state that has a lot of work to do. They have a lot of smart people working on it. NYSERDA is just full of professionals, people that all could be working on Wall Street if they wanted to. And they know so much good stuff. So I of course love being nearby New York State. Every once in a while we get to work in the state. I was working on a proposal for somebody within the state today, and we hope that the under 750 kW incentive stays in place for this customer, so we could keep their ROI decent. But yes, they're working hard. They got a lot of challenges. It's a big state, a lot of challenging upstate permitting and zoning. Battery fires have caused some tension with the people, and there are regions that are now banning batteries. So, I was just talking up batteries, but just like solar gets pushed back, there's also battery pushback in a lot of areas. So it's working. New York's leading and pushing. They need to deploy a little faster, though. They got to deploy a little bit faster, at least on the solar side. Wind is hard too, man. Wind is hard for those folks. They're fighting every project.
My definition of a good solar state is a state that has a good DG market, meaning rooftop solar, and that includes community solar, and then commercial and residential, and then also utility. And that includes New York, Massachusetts, Illinois, New Jersey, and then the big dogs, okay, Texas, Florida, California. Florida and Texas are mostly utility scale. They're on the map for utility scale. There is a lot of DG happening. They're both big states with big populations, so there is a market for solar installers in those states. Relative to their population, it's just relatively small peanuts compared to a New York or Illinois on the DG side, but definitely robust markets. Yeah. So I'm just a fan of setting ambitious goals, and I wish more states would do this. That's another signal from the BBB, John, is that the state levers are more important now than ever, right? This is a way for states to incentivize solar when the federal government isn't incentivizing us anymore, or that's coming down the pike. Incentives are going away. We all want incentive-free solar fundamentally, but we also want a level playing field for energy writ large. And so that's, we know we
don't have that.
No, we don't. Not even close. So, all right, what's our next story?
Tim, you got to keep your career focused. But if you are having challenges with sales, I have some suggestions on how maybe we could, introduce to you an article on distributing methamphetamines. So,
U.S. Customs Agency seizes 146 kilograms of meth hidden in solar panels. Story in PB Magazine by Emiliano Bellini. What's the story?
First off, look at that panel. Can you zoom in on that real quick? I mean, look at the thickness of that panel. And there was some other things. I don't know if it's going to let you zoom, but I went to the. All right, okay. So I went to the original Facebook posting, and there were just some pieces of data that were just off the wall. First off, these solar panels were being air-shipped from LA to New Zealand. Who's going to send U.S. manufactured solar panels via an airplane to New Zealand? That's one of the longest flights you can take on Earth. And then the weight of each panel. I think I can't remember right now, but each panel was like 130 pounds. And so, I mean, these customs people, they look at products all day long. And so I'm sure that they were like, wow, that's some expensive shipping on those solar panels. I mean, who's sending U.S. manufactured modules to New Zealand when they can literally have them boated direct from China for probably 15 cents, like $1 million? That's like a 500 watt panel. So these are like, I don't know, $10,000 per watt panels, roughly.
I did see a documentary about drug cartels recently, and apparently a large amount of illegal drugs are being shipped on commercial airlines in the standard luggage of the passengers, unbeknownst to the average Joe consumer. So
Yeah.
now this is a little extraordinary that they used solar panels
Yeah.
and they were air shipping solar panels, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Most solar panels
No.
would ship on a container ship.
Yes.
And New Zealand can buy cheap panels from Southeast Asia, which is in their backyard.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this,
So there you go.
it is an interesting story. They real solar panels, do you think, or they're just fake solar panels?
The images I looked at, they look weird. Like, click on that. See if you can click on the image on the left. They were like really thick. Yeah, look at that. That's like a 4-inch thick solar panel. I don't know if they were actual real units, and it looks like they were individually boxed, the individual modules. So like all kinds of weirdo stuff going on here. But I guess that's meth dealers.
But to your point,
solar panels.
if you're casting about for a new career,
don't do this one. We like you, solar people. We need you. Stay with us.
Want to go to
please.
jail, then yes, you could become a drug smuggler, but it would probably be a good way to go to jail. You might get rich, but you might also end up in jail. All right, so electricity rate hikes.
You're going to keep hearing me bring it up slowly, Tim. It's going to be a new topic. And it's going to be when we see dumb hikes. Like, this is your neighbor, man. These are people you might even know who are getting this hike. I believe that's Ameren. Is that Ameren in Missouri?
Yes.
Man, those rates, that's like 30%. So everybody, Ameren's lowest increase in the price of energy was 30%. If you can click on that image, it might let you zoom in on it. And 30%, maybe it won't let you zoom. Maybe you have to squeeze your browser window in from the width. Make it not as wide.
You think?
There you go.
That helps.
Well, it looks a little bigger. And then give it a moment to sharpen. All right. So if we look at the difference here, we see 39%, 32%, 31%, 29%. This is a massive increase in an electricity bill for people. You know what's going to be the biggest motivator over the next 10 years, Tim? It's going to be the price of electricity getting jacked up. That's going to make our spreadsheets look so much better. And I feel sorry for all of the roof. But then the other side of me, the mean portion of me, Tim, saying, you know what, people? It's about damn time. You're going to have to deal with the consequences of cheap fossils. And this is it. This is what's going to happen. You're going to start paying some cheap fossil electricity that's now not so cheap, and your price of everything's going to go up. And those solar plants, and those wind turbines, which were getting incentives and had a nice low electricity price, that's going away now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And so now your new price is going to be higher. And solar is still cheaper than new gas turbines, definitely cheaper than new nukes. So your cheapest energy is going to be now 30% cheap, more expensive. And it's almost representative. We got rid of a 30% tax credit, added 30% to the price of your electricity, Missouri, and your senator, Josh Hawley, he voted for you to jack up your electricity rates. So Missouri, give your buddy Josh a call. See if you can find him running away from the Capitol building. He does that a lot. Every time I see a goofy request for a price increase, I'm bringing it here. So I can remind our salespeople, understand what your price of electricity is and change those variables in your pricing model now. Because the world is different than the way it was the last 10 years. Electricity increases were slow right up until COVID hit. COVID hit, we got a big whack. But in the teens, electricity rates were going up very slowly due to all that new natural gas. Now the gas is starting to get tapped out a little bit. The new stuff, we're sending it internationally. Oil prices are weird, so there's no free gas. So there's some dynamics. And then we have all this AI stuff. If AI is really going to expand the way it is, if we do it in a dumb manner, we're going to pay even higher rates. So that's, there's going to be pricing of electricity coming. and it seems. But as an industry, it is our expertise to attack expensive electricity. So there's going to be more of it.
Yep. Yeah, the higher the price of electricity, the faster solar pencils or solar and batteries or whatever alternative technology.
Yes,
Should we
sir.
give? Should we cover the news from Europe? You've got a story from Germany and a story from Norway.
Yeah, well, these are both really quick ones. So the story from Germany is kind of our second project of the week. I just saw it and thought it was the neatest thing. Just this building, it looks like the NSA building. So you got to, yeah, the whole facade and the roof is covered with solar panels, the west side and the south side. And I just think that's neat. Look at that. And it fits a megawatt of solar on that. And man, that's just cool. So that was it. I just wanted to show off a solar.
Oh yeah, a whole
building.
office park.
I mean,
all these buildings you see here have rooftop solar and facade solar, and it looks damn good, I have to say. I mean, I don't know what the experience is on the inside of this first building. It might be a little dark, but
yeah.
This is definitely the future. I like to say, want to see the future? Go to Northern Europe.
Yeah.
and Germany's at the same latitude as Canada. So, lower insulation, we're talking 1100, 9 to 1100 kWh per kWp, but they're making a pencil. And
yeah, just neat seeing this, like the whole facade is solar panels. And yeah, just cool. That's it. And speaking of Northern Europe and cool tech, look at that. Look at that chart.
Share of cars currently in use that are electric. Okay, Norway.
Now this is, on an annual basis, their sales of electric cars are like 95%.
Right. And now 30% of their cars on the road are a third of their cars are electric.
They must have chargers everywhere. I mean, and all those cars are running on hydro because Norway is like 90-some% hydroelectric. So the cleanest cars on Earth are in Norway, at least the electric ones. Yep. It feels like it. Oh, man. And so I just thought this chart was cool. Now, there's one thing I did notice. The rate of change is slowing. So if you move your mouse away, you can show us that curve.
Yeah, it's starting to flatten off, right?
Peaked. Yeah, so there's going to be a dynamic that they talked about, and I guess we're starting to see it. There's a difference between.
Yes, it is.
So so you have the flow and you have the storage. So the flow is that we have 90+% of new cars coming out that are electric, but you have the existing volume of cars, which are big. And so how is that rate going to change? How is that rate going to evolve? Is it going to stay flat for a while till we get to 50%? Because these cars last, a gas car bought in year 2020, that should be on the road until maybe. It's going to take a while for that to move towards zero, but it is kind of cool. It is cool seeing it so big there, man.
Yeah, I mean, these pure electric vehicles, they can go 1 million miles. They have so many fewer moving parts. So the ICE, that is ultimately what is the nail in the coffin of the internal combustion engine is it just will not be able to compete. Now, we're still a few years away from that, and our federal government isn't helping at all. But yeah, we're at a whopping 2.7% here in the U.S. now. Now, in places like California, 20% of new cars are electric. So California is doing a good job, but they're by far a standout, right? And I saw this morning that Rivian stock is in the toilet. They're an Illinois company. They have a factory just an hour away from where I live. I'm a huge fan. I don't own a Rivian. It's a premium car. You can't get a Rivian for less than $70,000. But tough times for the EV industry in the United States, including Tesla. Their sales have been down for other reasons, I think, more political reasons than anything. But
so it's interesting seeing that cool building. Norway's doing its work. Last story, Tim, and we got to run.
Okay, got one more.
One more, super fast.
Okay, so
we talk about California. We talk about California a lot.
Well, there's this guy, John Weaver. He does good journalism in PV Magazine. California solar curtailment down 12% on back of batteries. All right, let's get this going. What's the story, John?
So here's the key. At high noon during spring and the fall, California has massive amounts of electricity that it has to what's called curtail. And curtailment means it literally tells the power plant. It's a cool little technical way it does it. But last year, 13% of all solar electricity through the end of May was curtailed. That means there's like places that don't even get their, like the amount of, let's put it this way, 25% of all solar electricity generated in the U.S. comes from California. Now, 13% of that was just not produced. So imagine if California's extra 13% was generated, that'd be like the top or the bottom 10 states. That might even be like New York. You know, the amount of electricity that California curtails is bigger than probably the bottom 20 states. Now, here's the key. This spring, because of the amount of batteries being installed, curtailment has started to fall. Look at the orange versus the green. So we've had batteries coming on and on and on, and we started off the year with a lot of curtailment. But then as the batteries kept coming online this year, we're now seeing curtailment fall off versus last year. Now, last year we may have had a stronger April and May, and this year there are some weather effects, but we also have, and this is the key, we have 18% more solar this year, and curtailment is still down as a percentage. This is because of batteries. And this is the real reason I wanted to bring this up. We're now installing enough batteries that not only that we can install more solar and more evening electricity. The system stability. So batteries and solar are now going to become a compounding effect. Your solar will need batteries. Your batteries will allow for more solar. And in fact, your batteries are going to need solar because they're going to need custom energy. So I guess we're going back to that first conversation, Tim, is what are we going to do as an industry to keep ourselves running? And it's going to be batteries. And Rick, we're going to get to these charts. Message me on LinkedIn or wait about a week. Somebody's commenting in our room, Tim. But wait about a week and it'll come through. And Aubrey also thinks he sees some choppy video and audio, just to let you know, Tim.
Sorry, Aubrey.
Yeah, so it's just cool. So here, check this out. Check out this chart. This is curtailment this day. All that blue is curtailment. That's a lot of curtailment. But if you run the numbers, scroll down just a tiny bit. I did a little bit of math. Without batteries in place, the curtailment would have been 67% higher. And without the batteries that we've installed since 24 and 25, the curtailment would be 38% higher. So right now, batteries are allowing 67% more energy to come out. Like there would have been a massive amount of curtailment, except batteries are starting to change it. So that was it. I just wanted to get this curtailment. We talk about California a lot because that's the place to be, but batteries.
Yeah, so in markets like California where we have high penetration of wind and solar, that grid is 50% wind and solar powered now on a windy, sunny spring day. Right.
It's 100%. No, on a windy, sunny day, it's 100% solar.
Really?
Like, yes,
100%
sir.
renewable. California's achieved 100% renewable.
Not renewables, Timothy. Solar.
Okay.
California has had
100%. Fact check that, listeners.
In 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. 2 weeks.
Okay. All right. So anyway, so when you have high penetration of renewables, sometimes the utility has too much of a good thing and they have to
Yes.
curtail.
Yes.
And they're just, I mean, there's a variety of ways of doing this. Sometimes they just run the electricity into the ground. Sometimes they
Technically,
just
that's not what occurs, but yes.
throttle the inverter. But
That's actually technically what happens is the inverter throttles the solar panel. It causes that cool little curve to run a little bit off. And so the efficiency of the solar panel adjusts. So that's technically where it's going to occur. They tell the inverter you need to curtail, and the inverter tells the solar panels to run at a slightly different power point, MPPT
and what about
type of thing.
what about with wind?
Oh, with wind, wind, they will slightly turn the turbine away from the wind, or they will feather the blades. And when you feather the blades, because those blades aren't solid chunks, they actually have little turning abilities. So when you turn the blade,
You're slowing the turbine down.
Essentially, yes, sir. Yes.
Cool. Well, we should let our listeners know. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Rick. Rick is today having 4 10 kW Franklin WH batteries added to his existing 24 kW solar array. That's awesome, dude. Nice system there, Rick.
40 kilowatts of batteries, and that's what, like 60 kWh. That's a lot of batteries. Looks like Rick Hanna is going to be completely off grid after this installation he's getting.
Well, he's not taking a risk. And this is what a lot of people are going to do, man. Price of electricity is going to go up. Your household price is going to go up. Somebody in Missouri is going to see their bill go up 30%. And if they were to ask me, I'm going to tell them to call Rick. Say, here's how you fix it, buddy.
Did he say what market he's in?
Well, I bet we could go on LinkedIn and find out because he's following one of us. Rick Hanna, LinkedIn. Oh man, there's like 100 Rick Hannas on LinkedIn. Sorry, Rick, you're gonna have to tell us.
All right. So check out all of our content at cleanpowerhour.com. Follow us on YouTube. Give us a rating and review, and reach out to me on LinkedIn. How can our listeners find you, Mr. John Weaver?
LinkedIn and Blue Sky, and my website, commercialsolarguy.com. I'm on Blue Sky a bunch, not on Twitter so much, LinkedIn lots, and commercialsolarguy.com. We got phone numbers, emails. You can even come visit our office if you want. I'll give you a coffee and some tea, and we can have a wonderful conversation about solar.
All right. With that, I'll say thanks so much for being here, all of our listeners, and let's grow solar and storage. We'll see you in a couple weeks.